Agenda tonight. So we'll go over some key dates and reminders. We'll cover the scheduling process, and Richie is kind enough to show how that works within the platform in a demo environment. We'll cover the rostering process, which I believe a lot of clubs have already gotten a jump start on. And then we'll stick around for those that are still finalizing registrations and maybe have some troubleshooting questions. We'll kind of have an open Q&A session at the end here. Key dates. This is posted on our website, and we want to continue to go to that State Cups page for all of the key information. So this Friday is our State Cup registration deadline. We're working with clubs that have yet to submit the registrations and expect to have those done by that date. After that, we have about a week to put everybody in the right spot, so to speak. Make sure that if you applied to Challenge Cup, that you meet the flighting guidelines for Challenge Cup. We'll then make our changes and post likely Tuesday or Wednesday, start posting the first versions of the flighting list through an Excel document that's posted on our site in real time like we've done in the past few years. You'll have the opportunity to appeal that flighting decision if you don't believe that your team is of that level or you'd like to play down, and you have until Monday the 26th to do that. And then from there, we'll be able to turn schedules around for the 28th, which is just 2 weeks away. I think we're 2 weeks on the dot here. A quick call out, roster freeze is September 4th. So as you think about the rostering portion, you have 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get that done. Keep in mind there's Labor Day holiday, there's tournaments, there's a ton going on for the next few weeks. So make sure to keep these dates in mind and mark them on your calendar. We'll continue to buzz you through email and through app with these dates. Quick reminder at a very high level about what we're doing and why we've made this transition. After getting the feedback from clubs, we came back to the drawing board and said, if we were doing this all over, what does a competition need to be successful? And these were some of the core pieces that we came away with. The future is digital. So eliminating paper to help make everybody's life easier, not having to print a game day roster, eventually not having to have player passes is a key, part of this, and State Cups is the perfect kind of pilot test environment to do it. Centralizing referees, we already know and talked about. Improving scheduling so you have tools to accurately communicate and do that with ease. And for a competition like State Cups, making sure that we engage members when 50% of the teams are, eliminated or knocked out after the first round, and another 50% after that. And then we talk about collecting team fees, which was a struggle in previous systems, and we've gotten feedback about other systems that we haven't used in quite a few years as well. So these were kind of our core pillars and the vision of why we're doing this. And that landed us obviously with Squatty, which is intended to be a mobile first solution, a mobile app forward solution. Obviously, all the administrative functions are occurring on the web platform that you're getting the feel for right now. But the end goal is for our coaches, for our referees, for our players to have in the palm of their hand this app that empowers them through game day and kind of connects the entire ecosystem and environment. So without further ado, we'll jump into the scheduling portion here. Few reminders for those that maybe are new to State Cups or need to dust the cobwebs off. So first, we communicated that referees will be assigned by New Jersey Youth Soccer through the Squatty system. So if you've worked with your local assigner in the past to try to get referee crews, you don't do that this season. Once your games are scheduled, the assigner that we have for your area will be able to assign right through the platform from their pool of referees that are specifically selected for State Cup. Now, to make sure that you can get the right referee on your game, you want to give the assigners as much notice as possible for that game. So it's encouraged that at least a week, 7 days in advance, you have that game scheduled with your opponent. Once you start to get to that 5-day window, 5 day before, while not impossible to get referee crews because of the tight timelines for State Cup, it can start to impact the referee that's being assigned to your game, right? If you're 2 days before, the assigner might be able to help out, but you may not get the referee that you were expecting for that match. So, as we go through this process, these are the guardrails that we ask that you follow. We'll cover the assigner's fees. We talked about in our previous webinar. We notched the fee up $5. The entry fee up $5. So, assignment fees are covered here. We believe that that's a cost savings for most clubs and teams when you look at many home games that, it could be $10 to $15 a game for an assigning fee. You'll still be responsible for splitting the referee fees 50-50 as you've done in the past, and we'll have those rates posted on the site. I believe they match the EDP rates to make it easy for members. As a reminder, when you go through the scheduling process, provide at least 3 diversified options here, right? Make sure that you're giving different options of weeknights and weekends and various times, right? Saying to your opponent, hey, why I can play at 12 noon, 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock on Saturday isn't really, useful or reasonable to expect that somebody can make that work. So, ensure that you're giving a reasonable amount of time to do right by the players, to get the game played and give everybody the best opportunity competition wise. So when we start to talk about the scheduling process through Squatty, you'll find it looks very, from a process perspective, very similar to other platforms that you may have used, very similar to the Sports Connect side, although the look and feel is different, right? We have what's called the schedule modules. So up until now, you've been working in the teams module. You may have worked in the registration module a little bit, or even the users module. Well, we have the schedules module of Squatty that is accessible only to users with admin access. For this fall, to help facilitate the initial onboarding, we are making the assumption that coaches and managers will have the ability to communicate with their opponent and schedule matches. So anybody in the platform by the 26th will be promoted to have this limited scheduling access. That's there to alleviate some of the lift and the burden for clubs that need to get coaches on, right? If that's not for you, and you prefer to have one person in your club do it, and it's at the administrative level, no sweat, no drama. You can remove that coach from the organization's contact tab. We'll give you instructions on how to do that. But again, we're doing this with the assumption that most clubs will have coaches start the scheduling process, and we want to make this easier for you. Similarly, if you have a field scheduler or somebody that currently doesn't have access to the platform and you only want to access the schedules module, you'll be able to add that user with that limited role that we've created. We want to give a sneak peek because when we talk about scheduling and we talk about the project vision, spring 2025, we expect this to be a totally app-forward experience. So coaches can communicate with their opponents through the chat in the mobile app. You can go back and forth and confirm game details. So that's the end goal, and we're a few months away from that. For now, you'll have the process just like you do in any other platform and doing it through the web-based login. The overall process will look very similar to how State Cups has done it in the past. Again, look and feel aside. Once we have the initial brackets complete, once the pairings have been decided, everybody's been broken out geographically, the first round games will be published with a TBD venue on the play-by date and 12 noon as a placeholder. So we do that for transparency, right? If we didn't publish the game schedule, nobody would be able to see who's playing who. And in State Cups, it's really important to see that game schedule. It's important to have transparency on what games are occurring and not wait until 2 people have decided when that game should be played. So we're going to publish a TBD game for you. And at that point, the home club has the ability to propose the time, date, location for that match. There's a chat feature right next to the match, which Richie will show us in a few seconds, to within the schedule module where you can discuss dates, times, locations. You can say, hey, this doesn't work for us. We need to move this, use that back and forth. And then the away team and club can also use that chat feature to communicate if there's no initial outreach there. This is probably the third one here is the most important piece, and we'll emphasize it many times tonight. When the details are agreed on by the teams, the home team must enter those match details on the platform. The game then must be approved by the opponent. So the referees can be assigned by your State Cup assigner in the platform, and that you can access the rosters on the Matchday app. The referees will have access on their phones through the Matchday app to the game day rosters, so you don't have to print anything. So it's really important that the game time and the game date is set correctly so everybody's able to access what they need to on game day. If you just leave a game scheduled for Sunday because that's the play-by date, and you text on the side to schedule a game for Friday evening and you don't change anything in the platform, you're not going to have referees assigned. Even if by chance you get a referee assigned, when they show up to the match, they're not going to have access to the game day roster to make any changes or submit scores. So really, really important. I'm going to reemphasize it one more time in bold, red, underlined text. You have to schedule the matches in the platform accurately. The game date and time that's listed in the platform is the source of truth. If you don't schedule it, no referees will be assigned by New Jersey Youth Soccer. You won't be able to get referees from your local assigner. They've already been instructed that they can't do that. And then that game has to be accurate for your game day rosters. Super, super, super important. Last year, we had about 20% of games just left with random dates and times. So we need to see 100% here. So this works. This works as expected and as designed. I'll now turn it over to Richie, who's going to grab the screen and walk you through the physical process of scheduling in the Squatty platform. So Richie, take it away.
Cool. Thanks for the intro, Ryan, and thanks everyone for joining. So yeah, I'm just going to take you through that scheduling process as well as logging in. So Ryan, can you just give me a shout if you can see my screen?
Yep, all's good.
Perfect. So once if you've had trouble logging in, by the way, make sure you reach out just so that we can sort out your login details and make sure that you can get into the platform correctly. So when you were added, you would have received your login details via your email. You should have in that email, it should have said click here. It should take you to a browser like this. It should have also sent you your password. So that is the password that you'll be using. Bear in mind, you can change that password at any point in time by just selecting the forgot/reset password option. And that will send you a link via your email where you can customize your own password. So once you put in your login details, just go log in. And the first time you log in, you'll actually be presented a QR code. I don't have one here at the moment because I've already logged in before, but you'll actually get a QR code here. So make sure that you have an authenticator app. The one that I use is Google Authenticator. So you'll just have to download one from the App Store or Play Store if you have an Android phone, or Microsoft Authenticator works as well. So just, download any authenticator app and there's going to be a QR code. So open your authenticator app and scan that QR code. That should generate a code for you to be able to put in here. So once you get that code, just type it in and it should log you in. Once you're in the platform, this is the first screen that you should see. And to start that scheduling process as soon as the schedules are published, just navigate to the top right corner where you'll see all our modules. If you have done your registrations and worked out of the Teams module, you should be familiar with the different modules that we have here. So this time we're going to go into the schedules module, and sorry, bear in mind that this is a test environment, so it says fixtures, Australian terminology, but that will actually say schedules in your live environment. So just click onto this module, and then you're just going to hover over participating in competitions and draws. sorry, I'm just going to go to the correct, I'm going to go in as a club. So I'm pretending I'm in as a club administrator, and then I'm just going to go to the schedules module, hover over participating in competitions, and go to schedules. Once you are in here, you should see all the matches that are relevant to your organization. So if you have multiple teams within your club, you will see all matches for your organization. You will see a week filter here. If it is named round, it will say round 1, round 2, round 3, etc. Or if it's the week of, it will show in this format here. So you can filter to all, which will show you all matches, or you can filter per week. So I'm just going to use this team as an example. So CSC 12 girls. So as Ryan mentioned, it is the home team's responsibility to propose a date, time, and venue. So all you're going to do is filter to that correct team, and you can use this search bar here just to filter to that one team if you wanted to, and it should just bring up those matches. So if you are the home team, just go in and propose a time by going to the 3 action dots and going edit match. Untick this not in schedule option, and then here is where you'll see a drop down of all your venues. So select the venue and then select the field. So there might be a venue with multiple fields, so make sure that you select the correct field. You've got your date as well for that match and the time. So once you're happy with that, select OK. As soon as you've done that, the schedule status should go to pending away affiliate. This means that it's sent that information and proposed that time, date, and venue to the away affiliate. So it is just on the away affiliate to either approve that or decline and come back with, other proposed times via the chat option. So this is the chat option here on the right-hand side. And I do know that some of you guys do communicate externally, and that's fine. I think the priority is to get your information here just so that the competition organizer at New Jersey can see the log and know that something is being scheduled or there is an action there. So if you do communicate externally, at least put in the notes from that communication here so that Ryan has visibility over that. So I'll just show you from the away side. So once you've proposed this date, time, and venue, I'm just going to go in as the away affiliate and show you what you will see. So again, even as the away team, it's the same thing. Navigate to the top right corner, go to the schedules module, hover over participating in competitions and go to schedules. Here you get the exact same filter options, and yeah, you can search for individual teams as well here. So you can see that here, this is the match that I proposed as a home team, and then here you are as the away team, and this is the view that you get. So you only get the option to approve or decline that match, and you can obviously use the chat as well. So if you are happy with the time, date, venue that the home team's proposed, you can just go ahead and approve that match. If for whatever reason that date and time and venue doesn't work for you, you can decline that match and it'll actually say the schedule status declined and it'll show that to the home team. You also have to go into the chat and tell them the reason that you've declined and propose a new time. So you might say, can we do Friday on this date and save. Once you've done that, you've got a log of exactly who's sent that chat, and then the home team will be able to see that, and Ryan and the team at New Jersey will be able to see that information as well. So it goes back and forth until that you guys have both agreed on a date, time, and venue. So you'll just go back and forth until the correct time and date is proposed, and then you can just go and approve that match. Once it's approved, it will publish that match into match day for the referees to be assigned. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, make sure you put them through the chat, and we'll address those.
Good. Richie, can you just show where to modify venues from the home module, the initial dashboard? So what we've done is import venues that were used in the past few years for state cups. and we're currently in the process of linking those venues to the various home teams. So by the time the schedules are there, you'll be able to view the venues that you've used as a home team for the past few years. And that is available, as Richie's showing, through your home dashboard. If you just scroll up just a bit. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So
right on your home page, you'll have maintain and then venues and fields. By the time schedules are there, you'll see the venues that you've used as a home team in the past. I'll use a caveat here. You may see one or two venues that maybe isn't really yours, but that's because you were the home team, but you played at the away team's site. So, bear with us. It was difficult to kind of decipher that, but yeah, this will be where you can update the venues. Richie, if you go into the 3 action dots here, just to cover a little further, for each venue, you have the ability to add different fields. You can add a short name, different game day and availability slots if you really need to. All the way at the bottom here is the fields portion. You'll have the opportunity to come in here and add field 1, field 2, so on and so forth. You can change the field size if you need. So if there's a field 1A and field 1B, for example, you can just use this grid to say, here's how that field is split up. And it will allow you to select that during the scheduling process if you need. Again, we're doing that migration, and it should be available for you during by the time schedules are ready. If you have a new venue that you haven't used in a couple of years, feel free to head over to that maintain tab and add that venue in here. We have a step of approving, so to speak, venues. If you do add one, just let us know so we can add it to the competition schedule for you to select when the schedules are published. We'll pause here, see if there's any questions. I notice there's nothing in the chat, so feel free to use the raise your hand button. We can unmute you if you want to ask a question, or use the chat if you want to there. We'll wait just a minute before moving on. Good. Richie, you might be off the hook. I don't know that I see anything here.
Yeah, cool. And I might just say one thing. It will be the club's responsibility to sort of check, because there is no way of getting a notification via the app, via the web platform at the moment. I mean, as Ryan mentioned, we are going to move everything into the app for next season, where you will be getting notifications. But just letting you know, it will be your responsibility to go in and make sure that you're checking the chat to see whether the away team and home team have communicated. Yeah.
Good. Christopher, I see your note just about registration and not being able to create an account via the link that your club provided. So we can do that in the troubleshooting section at the end here for registrations. One call out, I know we have those club specific registration links, what I'll call the registration form. After you register your teams, you don't need that link for the rest of the season. Please, then use that admin.squatty or admin.us.squatty, something along those lines. Feel free to correct me.
Yeah. It's admin.us.squatty.com.
Good. Yeah, that link will provide you access to this main dashboard here. We've had some users that are trying to log in through through their registration link. That is only good for registrations. Once you're done there, once you've added your team members as a coach and use that, don't use that for the remainder of the season here. Question from Kristen. Yes, this recording will be shared. It will be posted on our website as well, so everybody will have access to it. We're also intending to make, just like we've done with the other videos, very bite-sized pieces to this. So you'll have that 90-second to 2-minute video about scheduling. That's a little bit more bite-sized, so you don't have to file through an hour-long webinar. Question from Rob: how do we invite managers or coaches to the platform? Richie, if you have a contacts tab open, maybe we show that real quick. So if you're looking to get ahead of adding people with that scheduling permission, you can add through the users module, you can add coaches and managers as a contact for your organization with that limited scheduling access. Otherwise, we'll talk in a few minutes about how to actually create a coach or a manager, roster them to the team, and get them access to the mobile app. So what Richie's got here is right from the home screen. You access that modules menu and then users. Under the administration tab, there's our organization. And then you have contacts.
Yeah. So here's where you'll be adding in, if you needed to give access to a team manager or coach to, take that responsibility of scheduling matches, you can add their contact details here. So all the fields that you'll need is first name, last name, email, and phone number. And make sure if you want them restricted access, as in just to that schedules module, you can select this team admin option here. And then you can just select update. If there are a club administrator that you are willing to give them full access of under your organization, you can select the admin option here and then update.
Good. We posted a video, I think, late last week about how to add a contact. Obviously, you just kind of flip through those roles based on what level of access you want to provide to them. This next question, once the scheduling ability is live, how long does the home team have to lock down the schedule? Our policies and guidelines say 72 hours within the match being published is when the home team needs to make their first contact. We understand the scheduling process can take a while, but I'll kind of lean on those first couple points. 7 days before a game is the ask to get quality referees assigned. Once you get to that 5-day window before the game, you're kind of up against the wall there. After the 5-day timeline, there's no guarantee that they can get officials if, for example, it's Columbus Day weekend and every referee's at a tournament, right? So you want to give yourselves, between home and away, ample opportunity to get that scheduling done. Cool. Thank you, Richie. If there's nothing else on schedules, we'll move on to rosters. If you do have questions on schedules, drop them in the chat. We can come back to them in the next 2 Q&A sessions here.
I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yep, I'll try to jump back in here on my side. Cool. So we've done our scheduling demo. Now let's talk about rostering. There's a video on the State Cup site that demonstrates rostering from an admin perspective. For coaches, if the coach is responsible for their team registration and getting their players in, if they're not importing the players during the registration process, which we believe most aren't, it is then just a manual add after the fact, and I'll cover that in a little bit. So with the admin capabilities, this is where we really recommend just exporting the data from Sports Connect. Once you've registered those players for their passes, you can export, a player detail report, for example, and kind of massage it into the format that's needed for that CSV file, which I'll pull up here in a second. Couple rostering reminders. The roster freeze, as I mentioned earlier, is September 4th. Players cannot be added after the roster is frozen. Frozen means frozen, right? You cannot add, you cannot subtract. Whatever that roster is on the 4th is what that roster is. Exceptions based on our policy are only granted for errors by New Jersey Youth Soccer. So we accidentally removed a player from the roster thinking they weren't eligible. A day later, you realize they are, you show us proof, whatever the scenario is. That's our error, New Jersey Youth Soccer's error. We'll make that right. If a coach has or a club has left a player off of the roster, that's not covered by the policy. We want to be as flexible as possible, but you understand once we get to a certain point, we have to evenly enforce that policy across all competitions, all teams, and all levels. We really, really encourage you to include a replacement goalkeeper on that roster. Think about the end of the season, October 26th and 27th, your championship match. Think about what can happen between Labor Day weekend and that last weekend in October, right? Your 11v11 rosters allow for up to 22 players. Only 18 can even dress on game day. So from the start, you're given 4 reserve roster spots to add those replacement, quote unquote, replacement players in case of injury, in case of goalkeeper decides to transfer midseason, whatever the scenario is. We've heard it, and we're telling you now ahead of time, 3 weeks before the roster freeze, to consider these things, right? We also want to remind you that players can only play for one state cup team each year. So once that roster freeze hits on the 4th, if they are on that roster, they are cup tied to that team for the remainder of the year. We have no way really of knowing, hey, did they play in the game? Did they not? So, once that roster is frozen, they appear on the roster, they are considered cup tied. So keep that in mind as you build your rosters for the next couple of weeks. Club Pass players. We do allow Club Pass players with some exceptions. If their team is not playing in State Cup, right, they can be Club Pass. So, for example, if you have a player who's a primary player on an NCS team, and you're trying to club pass them to President's Cup, that's no good. They need to play with their primary team if their primary team is in Cup. They can't be playing with another team in State Cup. So if you've club passed them to an NCS team and you also want to club pass them to a President's Cup team, that's no good, right? They can only play for one team a year. If the roster is not at capacity, meaning you have available spots, then you can add a Club Pass player, and the roster meets the continuity requirement. And I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. I can look it up if there's a question, but as long as the X number of players from the league roster match, or the official state roster match what is on the State Cup roster, then that is your continuity requirement. Nicole, if you know off the top of your head, I believe it's 50% plus 1, but feel free to chime in there.
50%.
Thank you. All right. For Club Pass players, because you're not adding other teams in the system that aren't playing in cups, right? You can just add that player as you would anybody else, right? We'll be, after the roster freeze on the 4th, we'll be comparing the data between Sports Connect and Squatty to make sure that players are in the right spot. So if they're a Club Pass player, just add them, and we'll take care of it that way. You can roster them like you would any other player there. Okay. So the rostering process. Players, parents, coaches, when you import them into the system, or you manually create an account for them through the manual process, they may receive an email when that account is, when that's done. Coaches and managers should complete the registration email that they get. It's going to give them an invite link. They can go on, create their, username, password, enter in their, contact info. It's important that they do it because they will be able to log into the app to access their game day rosters, to receive updates from the competition and push notifications from the competition, right? So important that coaches and managers do that. All over our website, we have those download the Squatty app buttons, and that's what we ask that they do before the schedules are even released. You don't have to take any action for players or spectators. They're going to get an email. They can complete the quote unquote registration in that email if they want. What it will do is give them a more personalized experience in the app, right? If they create an account after you've imported them and they log into the app with their account, they'll be able to, access team chats. They'll get, a good look at their own statistics after the referee scores a match. They'll have right on their dashboard their team's schedule, right there on the mobile app. So if they do take advantage of it, they'll get a more personalized experience. So we recommend it, but understand that parents have a ton going on and don't want to force anything, right? Players and coaches aren't required to have photos in Squatty. It will, again, give you a very slick experience in the app. It will look very nice, but we're not requiring it because in year one, you'll still have to show a player pass to the referee. The more that we can adopt the system, the better the hopes of eliminating those paper player passes, and then the app becomes the source of truth for the referees. So players and coaches, again, no photos, but recommended if you have the time and the capability. So I'm going to go into a rostering demo. This should look very similar to the videos that we've shown on the website. So let me jump into, maybe I'm in a test environment. Let me jump into one of our organizations here. Cool. So right from the start, I want to cover the import template. We've had a couple clubs that are struggling with the CSV version of this file. We've already given some feedback and asked that there's a consideration for Excel and Excel version to be imported, but CSV and Excel are very, very similar. The only difference is you don't want to include a comma in any of the data fields because it will kind of mess it up. So we have three types that you can include on the actual import file: a player type, a manager type, and a coach type. Doesn't matter if they're a head coach, doesn't matter if they're an assistant coach, you can deal with that later. But we have these three types. So for every player you list, make sure that the role is listed as player. Same thing for manager, same thing for coach. This organization column H should match exactly to what your organization name is in the platform. I'm using a New Jersey Youth Soccer example, so please don't put any stock in that it says New Jersey Youth Soccer. To figure out your organization name, you can just click on your profile in the top right, and it's going to be right here. You can copy and paste that, and you can drop it right into the column H here. Working kind of backwards, because I think the first name and last names are self-explanatory. Dates of birth, make sure that those are included, even for coaches. Make sure that those are included. This will help you get a good match later. If you export the data right from Sports Connect, you again can just kind of remove columns, clean it up, and drop it in this template. If you have your own registration system that you want to do that with, you can export a report there and massage it into this template here. Column D is important. We have child, yes or no. All of your players are going to be considered children. So this column for your players should say yes. For your managers, for your coaches, it should say no. For column E, this can be a little picky. For the phone numbers, you want to make sure it's just the digits. No spaces, no hyphens, no parentheses. It should just be the digits here to make sure that you get a clean import. It will be rejected if you try to import that. It will say that the mobile contact number is not valid. So you can go through and do it. For those that maybe aren't as familiar with Excel, you can use the find and replace tool here. And for example, type in, if you have hyphens in there, highlight the whole column, find hyphens and replace with nothing, and then hit replace all. Same thing with your parentheses or whatever. So quick tool to help just clean that stuff up. For your email, for your players, this should be your parent email. Again, important that you have quality, valid data in here. So if somebody wants to use the app and get that personal experience, either today or down the road, a year from now, 2 years from now, right? You want to get the data in the right way here. We don't recommend using columns I through N here. H through A is really what we focus on. You'll see even in our demo video, we cross these columns out. Don't worry about them. You've already been directed to create and register your teams before importing participants. So if you are including team names or divisions, chances are you may not get an exact match, and you're just going to create a duplicate of that team that you've already registered, which we've seen a few times. So, focus on A through H here. This is your import template. When you do that, make sure that you save it. After you save that template, you'll be able to go into the platform here. You'll go into the modules menu and click on your Teams module. Under your Teams module, what I always recommend doing, especially since we don't have a ton of teams in the platform, is changing your age group filter to all. I think at most we have one club that's above the 15 team mark, very few above the 10 mark. So, this page will kind of show almost every team you have. If you need to make this a larger, lookup, you can just by changing your page size down at the bottom. So I recommend having that there so you can, get a holistic view of all your teams. I've created a demo team just for tonight. Your teams at this point should say registered here, and some may even have a division of NJYS. To import your participants, you'll come over to this participants action button and you'll click import. You'll go ahead and you'll choose your file. Then you'll go ahead and you'll click upload. You'll get a success pop up here at the top if everything goes well. If not, that page that we were just on will stay, and it will give you a list of any errors for players that need to be corrected. If a phone number is improperly formatted or somebody already exists, it will tell you all that on that screen. You go correct it, and then you can import those individuals again. So after that, again, make sure you filter your teams to all. That will give you that holistic view, and you can drag and drop from here on out. Your call if you want to drag and drop individually. You can move that participant one by one, or if you're kind of importing team by team, you can just check off anybody in this list here, and we can simply drag and drop over here, and you'll see that the columns change to reflect those assignments. That's it in terms of the assignment and rostering piece. I don't want to oversimplify it, but that's it. To view your roster, for example, the players, you can click on that column to view any players that you've assigned. If you want to unassign that player before the roster freeze, you'll have the option to do that. And then just be sure to hit save. And you'll notice that player goes right back over to the other side here. Drag and drop. Same thing with coaches. Same exact view and window. Same thing with managers. Same exact view and window. If you want to view that entire team, click on it and you'll get a listing of each of the players that you've added here. You'll get a listing of each of the managers, each of the coaches, so on and so forth. So that is the rostering component that we have in the platform. I had mentioned that we were going to cover the registering individually if you're going through the team or coach method. If we want, we can do some questions while I end up pulling that portion of the demo up. Good, let's see. Where did we leave off here? Are the referee assigners already given access, or do we need to invite them for the club? Nope, the referee assigners are already taken care of. So let me talk about that for a moment. We have designated referee assigners in areas of the state. We have multiple in the north, multiple in central, multiple in the shore, multiple in the south. Those referee assigners have been selected based on the pool of referees that they have access to, their ability to schedule games in this environment for State Cup, their professionalism. So we've put a lot of thought into the assigners that are selected for this initiative in the first go around. They have access to everything that they need. You don't need to do anything as a club. Once we know which teams have registered, we will finalize which assigners are taking care of which club. We have a good idea based on the past year or two, who's going where, but once everybody registers by the end of the week, we anticipate posting referee assigners next week. You're more than welcome to reach out to that individual, introduce yourself, get contact information if you need. Really, we're here to help you rely on the system and the platform to do the work for you. So don't feel that you need to. Those individuals will have access to your contact information in case there's an issue, and they'll be able to reach out as well. Good. All right. So when a coach logs into their club registration link, thank you for your patience. When a coach logs into their registration link for the club, which is the only link that they have access to right now, they will be able to access their user profile in the top right corner. When they go to their user profile, they have this registrations tab, which is defaulted to open. For any team that they've registered, here's just a couple that I've done either in a demo or assisted. For any team that they've registered, there are these 3 action dots to the right. There's this Add Team Members button that they can click. They can go through and they can designate which type of team member that they are adding. So for example, if you're adding a player, you check the player type. If you're adding a head coach, you add the head coach type. So on and so forth. Coaches can select the gender for the player, enter the first name, the last name, the mobile, the email, the date of birth, all the same pieces that are required in the import template. After they do that, they can either hit save and go back through that same process, or they can continue to just hit add team member until they've reached every team member that they want to add manually or individually. And then they can hit save. Again, really rely on that bulk import. If admins have the ability to do it and are willing to help coaches out, that can save a ton of time. Admins also have the ability to create participants manually in that same kind of method or way. They can create new and then select all the information, so to speak, even add them to a team from the screen if you need to, and then hit add participant. For your player type, you'll want to select using parent's email address. So if a parent wants to come in and link families, they're able to do that at some point. All right. I will pause, see if there are any other questions before we kind of move on to the registration troubleshooting section for anybody who's still working through that.